The Lord be with you.
With your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his apostles, "Whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. Whoever loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Whoever does not take up his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. Whoever receives you receives me, and whoever receives me receives the one who sent me. Whoever receives a prophet because he is a prophet will receive a prophet's reward, and whoever receives a righteous man because he is a righteous man will receive a righteous man's reward. And whoever gives only a cup of cold water to one of these little ones to drink, because the little one is a disciple, amen, I say to you, he surely will not lose his reward." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
So, we all have our crosses to bear. No doubt you've heard this expression and you've even used this expression yourself. I have. I usually use it after shoveling complaint after complaint upon some poor friendly listener. Maybe it's an illness, maybe it's a particularly stressful time at work or at home, maybe it's an ailing child or an aging parent, maybe a difficult colleague or a tough decision that you keep putting off. You get the gist. These are all of the details of life that make life tough. And after making a catalog of all of the hard things in life, and maybe some of the trivial things in life, you pause, you laugh a little, and you say, well, we all have our crosses to bear. We have a choice to carry these crosses, so this thinking goes, gracefully, or we can complain. Complaining can feel good as we temporarily unburden ourselves. And these things that trouble us are very real and sometimes very serious and difficult. They can certainly be trials, but they aren't crosses, at least not in the sense that Jesus means this morning. Martin Luther King Jr. grew up in a very well-established and loving family in Atlanta. He was a very successful student in high school and likewise in college, and then from college, he went to Boston University where he earned a doctorate degree in theology. From there, he could have rather easily found a position teaching in a university or seminary, raised a family, lived a comfortable life on some leafy college campus. But as we all know, he didn't. He chose something quite different. And at one point, reflecting on this choice in his life, he said this: "I choose to identify with the underprivileged. I choose to identify with the poor. I choose to give my life for the hungry. If it means suffering a little bit, I'm going that way. If it means sacrificing, I'm going that way. If it means dying for them, I'm going that way. Because I heard the voice saying, 'Do something for others.'" This is much closer to what Jesus had in mind when he said, "Take up your cross and follow me." There's nothing in his life or circumstances that compelled or forced Martin Luther King Jr. to go the way that he went. He chose it freely. He didn't do it perfectly, only Jesus did that, but he freely chose to take up his cross on behalf of others. This wasn't the cross of quietly enduring a sickness or another tragedy that's sometimes forced upon us. Jesus likewise was not forced or compelled to go the way he went. I guess Jesus could have chosen to live the life of a carpenter and fade into the backdrop of humanity, just as his Father did. But Jesus heard the voice, the same voice presumably that Dr. King heard, the voice of his Father calling him to take up his cross, that is, do something for others. Of course, there are many crosses to carry these days, and that is to say, there are many ways in which we will do something for others. But the crosses that we carry cannot be confused with mere random acts of occasional kindness. The cross, if it's Jesus' cross, makes an exclusive claim upon us. In your imagination right now, think of Jesus carrying his cross. There was no room for anything else at that moment in his life. He didn't have the cross on one shoulder and a backpack on the other. His cross made a complete demand of him, and there was no division within him. It took, literally, all he had to carry that cross. It took all he had to go this way. And it was for all of us, the other. So when Jesus says, as he does this morning, "Whoever does not take up his cross and follow me is not worthy of me," he means, if you have not discovered how the voice is calling you to be exclusively and completely for others, then you're not worthy of being his disciple. There are many ways to be completely for others while following Christ. And God, the voice, is always calling and inviting each of us to put down the bags full of ourselves and pick up the cross for others. Now here's the good news, and here's the twist. God, the voice, does not call us to be something that he has not created us to be. He created us. He calls us to be for others in a way that's uniquely suited to us. The way of the cross is actually a pathway to full self-actualization in the parlance of our times. You know, in movies, often Christians and TV, Christians are often portrayed as these very dull, boring people who tend to pray before dinner. And that's how we're often portrayed in movies. But it's not the case. If we take this way of the cross, we're actually become even more God's unique creation. God gives us each different gifts that are meant to be used for others. And if we use them, if we go the way of this cross, then we actually become more ourselves on the way. Whoever loses his life finds it. The way of the cross is not a deadening, dull, monotonous path. So given the choice, let's go that way and set the world on fire with God's creative love.